Hey, I'm Alexandra Harbushka. We're gonna talk about life with herpes, type 1 and type 2. Okay, so let's talk about life with herpes, number one, and then there's these different types of herpes. There's type 1, type 2, there's oral herpes, there's genital herpes. So many questions, I'm sure, especially if you're just diagnosed. All right, so let's just kind of go backwards. Like what are we, like HSV, herpes, all this. So it stands for herpes simplex virus. It's herpes virus, which we're talking about herpes 1, herpes 2. There's actually hundreds of different types of herpes viruses, but for cold sores and genital herpes, it's HSV1, HSV2, just for today's talk, right? So kind of like, what's the difference? Well, basically, okay, let's not talk about this difference. Let's talk about what is oral herpes, okay? So oral herpes is when you have herpes on your mouth. Commonly known as cold sores, commonly known as fever blisters, but that is considered oral herpes. Genital herpes is when you get herpes outbreak on your genitals. So that can be, there really is no other name for genital herpes other than genital herpes, right? We have all these names for oral herpes, but nothing for genital herpes. All right, so what's the difference between HSV1, HSV2, which one goes where, how, what, who? So both types, type 1 and type 2, can go both oral and can go both genital. So most commonly oral herpes is known as HSV1. However, it's not necessarily that way. There's a lot of cases now of genital herpes being HSV2. And HSV2 most commonly prefers the genital region. It's most commonly associated with genital herpes, but that's also not the case. It can still also go into your oral region. Do they look the same? Yeah, they pretty much look the same. They can be one single blister, they can be a cluster of blisters, or they can even be a paper cut type of situation. Do they feel the same? Yeah, I actually have both. I have HSV1 and HSV2, and they pretty much do the same thing, feel the same way, do the same thing in my body. It's like a tense nerve pain or an itch or a tingle that causes a blister that's usually fluid filled and lasts for a couple days. Pretty much what they do. Okay, so what does this mean now living life with herpes? If you were just diagnosed or you're just finding out about it, you're like, oh my gosh, what's my life like? Well, it's honestly just the same. The majority of the population has herpes, so we're all living with it. Well, not all of us, but the majority of us are living with it. 2 out of 3 have HSV1, which is actually 3.7 billion people living with HSV1, and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So it's really, really, really common. The hardest thing about living with herpes or life with herpes is the stigma. There's all these outside commentary, thoughts, taboo topics that are dealing with herpes. There's a lot of jokes made in the media, a lot of jokes made around friends, and that's really the hardest part. Yeah, we may get an outbreak here or there. Once we do have herpes, the virus is in our body for life. It is something that we do have for life. It doesn't go away. But at the end of the day, our lives are totally normal and this is completely manageable. All right, if you're having questions about life with herpes or how do I live with herpes, I really love to let you know about this toolkit we have. I put it together because I didn't want to go to, I went to Google when I was first diagnosed and it was really scary. I don't want you guys to have to do that. And there's so many questions, misinformation. I know I see a lot of misinformation out there when I Google or if I turn to a source to get some information as well. I'm like, that's not true, that's not right. So I put this together. It's a couple pages, like more than a couple. It's like 12 pages. I have a couple of videos, like 4 to 6 videos on this topic that can educate you and fill you in on HSV1, HSV2, life with herpes, other things you may have questions on, like how to prevent outbreaks or how to have a disclosure. Anyways, I have it linked for you. You can also go to lifewithherpes.com. Let me know what questions you have. I'd love to make more content like this for you, more videos, and just be here to support you. All right, I'll see you soon in the next video and have a great day.